Change your posture. Come in any position if you're feeling comfortably as is possible for you. And once you do so, come back to your breathing. Now, begin to deepen your breath even more. Slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. Relax your mind. Prepare yourself for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti. Some time to feel. Join your palms together and begin to rub the palms. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly and blinking and looking at your palms. On your philosophy and the final topic, right, in your philosophy. So the last we have to discuss Rajayoga. You can write down. You can write down where we talk today. R-A-J-A. Raj, Y-O-G-A. Yoga. Rajayoga. So let's discuss. This is the path of the highest path. So Raj, J-A. This term Raj means king. Okay, king. So king, king has the highest position in the entire kingdom, right? So among the common people, the ministers, everybody, the king has the highest position, and this is also known as the highest of the royal path. Okay, so Raj also means royal, so you will generally see that Raj Yoga is considered to be the royal path. And this path is not for everyone, like there is only one king for the entire kingdom, right? So similarly, this path is for people who have already done other practices up to a certain level, right? So a lot of purification has already taken place, and that is when you become ready for such a path, because this path is not easy to walk on, nor is it everybody's cup of tea, right? So Raj Yoga, this philosophy, it follows the philosophy that the mind, it has the ability to focus on something. So in yoga we are trying to see something, no? Right? And in beginning of in the beginning of his sessions, when I was talking about philosophy, we're trying to see something we cannot see through our naked eyes, right? So when we talk of Raj Yoga, so Raj Yoga believes that the mind has the capability to show us something which see, right? So it's like focusing the rays of a torch, right? Focus the rays on a spot in a dark room, I will be able to see that spot clearly, right? So similarly, is the case Raj Yoga uses the concentration of the mind. So right now our minds are quite scattered, right? And hence we are not able to see what we want to see. So Raj Yoga says that through the concentration of the mind, you can throw the light upon what you are trying to see, what you are trying to understand. You're trying to understand your own selves, right? So through this, great ability of the mind, you can focus on what you want to see, and through that seeing, through that knowledge or wisdom, you can walk on the final path, right? So that concentration of the mind, it will guide you ahead into deeper states of the mind, right? So meditation is one of the main techniques of Raj Yoga, where all other things are there, but meditation is given utmost importance. Every other thing is done to support meditation. So if you come back, if you look at the school of Raj Yoga, then you will understand that mostly Patanjali, right? He has written his texts, the Yoga Sutras are written on Raj Yoga, right? So if you open Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, there is the mention of Dhyan Yoga in the 6th chapter. And the 6th chapter, it's giving you certain conditions which should already exist before you can go for meditative practices, and then Lord Krishna gives you guidance on how you should meditate, right? So if you want to read more deeply about it, you can go to 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or you can also read up other books on Raj Yoga, right? Any which way, or you can just read the Yoga Sutras. Even they have very deep insight into the practices, the understanding of what Raj Yoga actually is, right? So let's come to the Yoga Sutras only. As I mentioned before also, in the Yoga Sutras, there are different practices that are given, right? And the most relevant one for us is the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, so one part of Raj Yoga is Ashtanga. So 8 limbs of yoga. You can write down the spelling of Ashtanga also. ASHTANGA. Right. So Ashtanga Yoga is a very important part of Raj Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga is the practice that really gave for a beginner levels too. Okay, so if you are beginning on the journey of Raj Yoga, right, you are just starting on the journey, how you should start your journey and how you should proceed on your journey, that has been elaborated well by him. Okay, so now you need to understand one thing, that the person who is doing Raj Yoga, a lot of purification, a lot of other practices, you can say, right? Other things have already been done a lot, which has purified the mind up till a certain level, right? So keeping that in mind, not our level, okay, we cannot begin with Raj Yoga, okay, but for a person who has done a good amount of cleaning, right? If we try to follow through the practices of Raj Yoga right now without any stability of body, without any understanding of why certain things are being said, we will end up either suppressing ourselves or we will get hyper reactive. Okay, so Raj Yoga practices certainly are not for everybody, right? You have to have walked on the path of yoga already, right? So beginner level practice. So first limb out of the 8 limbs, it's called Yama, YAME, Yama. Then you can write down Niyama, Niyama. This is the second your second limb. Then third is Asana, Asana. Fourth is Pranayam, Pranayam. Pranayam. Then we have Pratyahar, Pratey, Ahar. Pratyahar. Then we have Dharana, Dharana. Then we have Dhyan, Dhyana. And final limb we have, which is called Samadhi, Samadhi. So Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Okay, these are 8 limbs. So we are going to start with the first limb. Okay, so now it's very essential to also understand this thing, that you cannot jump from Yama to Asana. Okay, you have to go from Yama to Niyama. From Niyama you go to Asana, then you go to Pranayama, then like this. Okay, so don't try to like sometimes we like taking 3 stairs, right, to reach our destination early. But when it comes to rajayogic practices, because they are very intense in their nature, it's like necessary that you follow this path. Okay? Step by step, go step by step. There is no hurry when you are pursuing this path. Right? So going step by step is very, very important. Yeah. So let's come to Yama. Yamas are the rules and regulations that they are telling you, how you should conduct yourself, how you should behave with the environment around you, people around you, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that only the people are your environment. There are other things also, like maybe there are plants where you live, or animals, right? So how the interaction should be, right? Because yogi, even though yogi is going in seclusion from people, right, very advanced stage, but yes, finally yogi secludes, but they're still in touch with the environment, no? So they're still following the yamas, right? The first yama is called ahimsa, ahimsa, ahimsa or non-violence. Okay, the first thing is non-violence. So non-violence just doesn't mean that you would come up and say to me that, right? So non-violence just doesn't sit on the action level, on the speech level, and on your mental level as well, right? So when Patanjali, he has talked of ahimsa, he said that there should be ahimsa at all 3 levels. Suppose I get in an argument, through my words I'm hurting someone, right? So now you will see that in action I'm not being violent, right? So my body is not moving and hitting that person, but through my words I'm hurting, causing hurt to someone else, right? So that is, you can say, violence. It's a violent nature, right? So many people, they just say something and they get away with it, right? So they are causing hurt through their words, right? It is an act of violence. It's on a different level. It's not as if you are taking a knife and stabbing someone, but you are being violent, right? On a mental level, so many times it happens, you just want to hit someone, or you just feel like angry towards someone, you just think about how you will torture them, right? So again, violence on mental level is taking place. You are not speaking anything, you are not taking any action, but you are being violent in thought, And it is the thought, the smart person realizes this thing. It is the thought which is the seed. If I'm thinking violently about, like, if I'm thinking of causing someone harm, right, it will come up on my speech or action. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it is bound to come, right, in that form, right? So mind has a lot of power, right? If nobody thought of a smartphone, today we would not have had smartphones only all the day, right? It's because the thought came in, then discussions took place, and then finally, ultimately, the physical action was taken towards development of such a thing, right? So non-violence on all levels, mind, speech, body, purification, deep level of purification has to take place. Okay. Then let's come to the second, second yama, which is called Satya. Satya. Right now, you will come up and say to me, I speak truth all the time. Right? I don't lie. Right? Lies. Right? So, what does truth over here mean? Means truth. Truth means universal truth. In one's life, keeping in mind universal. What is universal truth? Now, this question comes up. There are many universal truths that if you read texts of Buddha, he has talked about the universal existence of universal truths. Right? One such truth, everything is constantly changing. Now I cannot physically see that thing, right? How each and every cell in my body it's changing, right? Or how my breath is changing. Let's come to this only. How my breathing is changing. I cannot see the breath changing. When I close my eyes, I sit and I see the breath. As my thought changes, my breath also changes, right? So also it's not permanent, right? It's state of being maybe gross or calm. It's not permanent, right? So everything, when we even observe our own selves, we take a pause to observe ourselves, we see everything is quite impermanent in nature. Everything is changing all the time, right? Nature is changing, seasons are changing, day, new day, right? Weeks change, they turn into months, right? Months change, turn into years, right? But how do we lead our lives? Do we lead our lives with the basic understanding of this truth that everything is changing, right? Think of someone think of that person, right? If today that person comes in front of you after 10 years, you will still think the same. In 10 years, the person changes from one extreme to the other, right? Life experiences, everything, it changes, right? They change from one person to the other. Maybe sometimes they don't, right? But most of the times, people change. So 10 years back, you look at your own self, you have changed, you have grown, your body has grown, your body has changed in a way you realize it, right? After 10 years, today your body is very different, right? So in that same way, the other person is also changing, right? So if you look at that person, still think it's the person 10 years back, you are mistaken, right? But how am I leading my life? After 10 years, if I see that person, I will still think the same thing about that person, right? So am I leading my life or making decisions of my life on the basis of ever-changing nature? No, even my judgment is flawed, right? When I take this example, my judgment is flawed, right? So in the same way, there are so many decisions, there's so many things that we do in our lives, not keeping in mind this impermanence of, people, situations, things, circumstances, everything, right? So when he talked of Satya, he said, come in touch with the truth, right? And lead your lives according to truth, right? Not your truth or my truth, right? Universal truth, right? Okay. So let's come to the third yama, which is Aste, Asteya. Aste means non-stealing. Now again, you will say, I didn't steal anything, right? You will say, I'm not a thief. I don't go out of my way and stay. So again, you are mistaken when he is talking about a stay over here. He is saying that you take the permission, right? If something is not yours, take the permission. It just takes a few seconds to say a sentence which will allow you to take permission to have the thing or the idea that you want to obtain, right? But if you don't take permission, then it is stealing, right? So it doesn't mean you're going out of your way and stealing, but in everyday circumstance also, so many uh, uh, law cases are still going on stealing the idea of the other person, right? So it doesn't have to be something physical that you are stealing. You could very well be stealing somebody's idea, right? Making your entire life on those bases, and then the other person comes after you, right? So many cases, right? So did they go specifically go out of the way and steal? No. But they took the idea, built so much on it without taking the permission of the person whose idea it was original. But that is why the other person is also fighting, that this was my idea, you stolen it, right? You built an entire empire on the basis of that idea. So stealing, right? Take permission. If you are going to use something, so many times, so many things are accessible to us. We don't even feel the need to take the permission, right? And it's not as if you don't take the permission, you will still be able to get those things, right? So it's not like in the mind, it might not seem important to take the permission, but always stop and think. If the thing is not yours, if whatever you are, taking, it's not yours. Just it takes only a few seconds to go and ask for the permission, take that thing, acquire that thing, right? Then let's come to the fourth one, Brahmacharya, BHRAMACARY, Brahmacharya, right? So this gets directly translated to celibacy, okay? So this on a surface level does mean celibacy, okay? That you are not engaging in sexual activities, but on a deeper level, right? On a deeper level, Brahm is the creator. He is the creator of this universe, right? If you come to, Indian like understanding of things, you will see there are three gods that are, mentioned: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So Brahma is considered to be the creator, okay? And Brahma is uh, he's a god, right? So acharan, this term means behavior or conduct. So conduct, god-like conduction. Brahmacharya actually means god-like conduction, right? So through this act, right, through the act of physical, this energy that you lose when you have sexual intercourse, very great potential, right? And if you uh, you know uh, have sexual intercourse, right, you get physical, right? So what is happening, that energy escapes downward, right? It has the downward movement, right? And in yoga, your aim is to direct this energy upward, okay? Very simple understanding you can take. The direction of the energy has to be upward. So sexual activities, they are prohibited for this reason, right? Because the movement is downward, and because this energy has such great potential, creation of another human being. So if directed towards, it can lead to a lot of benefits, right? So that is why uh, you will generally see that sexual activities are prohibited only, right? But that doesn't mean again that you have to suppress. In the beginning, you can start becoming more aware when you are participating in sexual intercourse, right? You can become more aware of how your body is changing, how you are feeling, right? Instead of prohibiting the activity altogether, because that will only lead to suppression, right? So try to work on things practically rather than approaching them in a way where they're not conducive to you. If I ask you to, stop engaging in sexual activity today, right? Tomorrow maybe the urge arises, right? And you end up pressing it just because, now you're practicing yoga. So this moral ethic and standard rises, right? That you should not do this thing, right? So don't suppress it, don't overreact to it as well, right? But just in the beginning, what you can begin with, start being more mindful, right? Okay, eventually you will naturally reach that stage where it is coming more naturally to you, right? And yamas and niyamas, they should never be forced. They should always come very naturally to a point, right? Let me just close the philosophy session with the last, yama, which is your aparigraha, APARIGHRA, aparigraha or non-possessiveness. Okay, so many times you want to possess the items, right? So many things you want to possess, right? And when you possess those things, you form an attachment. Suppose you buy a t-shirt that you really like, right? So maybe one time your mom, she was cleaning out your closet, and because that t-shirt was very old, she gave that t-shirt away, right? And you come back home, you search the closet, you don't find that t-shirt, and you shout, you get angry like anything, right? T-shirt was so old, you bought it maybe 5 7 years back, but you shout like anything, right? Means you are possessive of what you own, right? And it's very easy to get possessive of our own things, right? Isn't it? Whatever you own, even if you are not using it, right? For 10 years you have not worn that t-shirt, you have not used that item. But when it goes away, it's so hard, no? Right? So this possessive attitude, it becomes a burden, right? If I give something to someone which I am possessive of, constant burden will be there. Are they going to return it? Are they going to return it timely? Right? So this aparigraha, this non-possessiveness, the yogi only possesses what he or he needs, right? And this possessiveness, it burdens you. So yogi is free from this burden. So slowly, start getting free from this burden, this tension, this stress, because it is coming out of a sense of possessiveness, right? So slowly, you can start working on this as well. So I'll close today's philosophy session and let us move to the pranayam session for today. So then we are going for another practical session, right? So just sit comfortably, allow me to guide you through this entire session. We are going to be practicing for about 20-25 minutes. So before we begin the session, take a few moments, keeping the eyes open and just seeing how your body feels, getting an understanding of how your breathing is going on and how you're feeling at a mental level. Right? So just before we begin this, take a few moments of silence to observe these things. Right. So now we will session for today. At the end, just compare this with the closing of your session. So sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight. Very gently close your eyes and just start observing the natural flow of your breath. Now slowly and shift your focus to your body. If you feel the need, you can take this time to adjust your body. Gently coming back to your breath again. Begin to deepen your breathing. Go for slow, long, deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. Inhale and exhale deeply. We're going to begin with our first practice. So we are going to start with the practice of abdominal breathing. If you feel the need, you can place one hand on your abdomen. Otherwise, you can just keep your hands on your knees and exhale fully. Contract your abdomen as you do so. We will begin with the first round. Take a deep inhalation, and as you inhale, abdomen rise and expand. As you exhale, again begin to contract your abdomen and try to bring your navel as close to your spine as you finish the exhalation. This is one round. Continue your practice. Inhale abdomen out. Exhale abdomen. Just keep the inhalations and exhalations equal and continue your practice for a few rounds. Keep continuing your practice. Allow your breath to deepen as much as possible. After your next exhalation, completely suspend to the natural flow of your breathing. Observe the impact of abdominal breathing. Now prepare yourself for the next practice. We are going to go for a few yoga deep breaths. Sitting comfortably, keeping the back and neck straight. Take a deep inhalation. As you inhale, first the abdomen, rise and expand. Slowly shifting the focus area and now expanding your chest. And finally filling in the chest to the full limit, feeling slight rise in your collarbones as you do so. As you begin to exhale, first relax the collarbones, then your chest, And finally, fully relaxing your head, contracting and bringing it as the spine as possible. This is one round of yogic deep breathing. Continue your practice. Deep inhalation here. Expanding the abdomen, chest, and clavicular region. As you exhale, relax the collarbone, chest, and the stomach. Listen, deep breath out. Just continue this practice for a few more rounds. Allow the breath to deepen as much as possible. After your next exhalation, suspend your practice. Coming back to the natural flow of your breathing. So, after each practice, how you feel, how your breath is changing, how your mind is changing. Which one more effort, which one is the less effort. Now gently prepare yourself for the next practice. If you need to change your posture, adjust your posture before this, take a few moments. With the right hand, form the exhale fully and close the right nostril. Begin to inhale through the back. Now close the left nostril, open the right nostril, exhale. After you exhale fully, begin to breathe in from the right nostril. Once you inhale fully, close the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale. Just one round. Like this, continue your practice. Go for a few more rounds of Anulom Vilom. Keep practicing, feeling the inhalations and exhalations as you alternate between the nostrils. Try to keep your mind focused completely on your practice. And after your next exhalation, which means the completion of your next round, which is exhaling through the left nostril, completely suspend the practice. So once you finish the next round, relax your hand. Simply observe the impact of Abdominal on your body, breath, and mind. Great sense of relaxation, peace, and balance. If you feel the need before we begin our last practice, you can adjust your posture. We are going to go for a few rounds of pranayam, trying to deepen your practice as much as possible. Keep the back and neck straight. If you feel like taking the Shanmukhi mudra, forming the Shanmukhi mudra, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can just keep your hands on your knees. Take a deep inhalation in, and as you exhale, create the humming sound. Keep the eyes as low as possible, and don't go for a very loud sound. For a low sound, deep, low nasal sound. Closing the mouth and just breathing in and out through the nostrils. Like this, continue your practice for a few more rounds. Keep continuing your practice. Create the humming sound and go deeply into your practice. The next round, you can relax your hands. Feel the deep vibrations of your chanting. We are going to go for one more round like this. So keep your back and neck straight, sit comfortably. And again, if you feel like forming the Shanmukhi Mudra, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can keep your hands on knees. And once again, after deep inhalation, begin the humming sound again. Try to deepen your sound. Feel the vibrations on your entire face. Okay, next round, completely suspend your practice. Watch the changes after about 25 minutes of pranayama. We are going to close today's session with one chanting followed by 3 shantis. So keep the back and neck straight, close the eyes gently. Take a deep breath in for all. Om. Shanti. 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 Feel the vibrations, feel the sensations. Join palms, gently back up. And now rub your palms together. Keep them on the eyes. One more time. Rub your palms. Keep them on the eyes. And very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes. Come back with a smile. Om Shanti, guys. Take care, keep practicing, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.